Hey, what's up, everyone? My name's Lionel. I'm your host for LT Productions, and you are watching I Watch You Watch. We are covering the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, Season 6, Episode 10, I believe. I appreciate everyone for coming to my channel. Please like this video. You can also subscribe, share this video with your family, friends, foes, whoever, and leave your comments below. Now let's get into this episode. Alright, y'all, so this episode is quite Brittany heavy, and I would really love to know why. But anyways, we start this episode with Brittany. Well, actually, Whitney has gathered the folks, excluding Lisa and Meredith, and they're going to have basically a cheer up, we support you, Brittany party. They decide to tease their hair to have that high body count hair in support of Brittany. She comes in and all that good stuff. They had like this Build-A-Bear person come to the place, and everyone is supposed to put their own personal message. It's to pay homage to the stuffed animal that Jared got Brittany to have in desperate times, I don't know, but whatever you want to call it. So everyone participated in that except for Mary. Mary said, well, no, I don't have anything to really say to her. We got into it on the boat. So we're so in this poor Brittany, Brittany's harmless, da 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 da, as I told y'all last week and the week before and probably the week prior to that. Well, Brittany wants a snowflake, and she's gonna try stuff, but she gotta be smart at who she actually comes after, y'all. And y'all know that. Y'all know that, but whatever. And if you don't, I can't help you. But anyways, yeah, so Mary didn't have anything. She didn't want to be fake about it. Brown, I don't know if you should have participated. However, you weren't on the flight and you didn't see anything, so, but since that was like that stuffed animal thing, it's not like you apologize for your part in that. But these ladies ain't calling you out. Y'all can't tell me that this is not strategic. But hey, y'all have your own beliefs, and you are free to let me know in the comments. So Whitney points out that Brown doesn't have on her wedding ring. I feel like there's probably been some talk between Whitney and Brown, and they're kind of co-teaming right there in order for Brown would have room to even start talking about it. So she let them know what was going on the internet as far as him looking at other women's photos and stuff, and he stayed away for a couple of days. I said, I need time, and he got a hotel, and then he went to go do his thing, She said that, you know, there's things that I don't appreciate, and I think that there needs to be a bigger conversation about, you know, possibly opening up, having an arrangement for our marriage, I will say this. Since we're talking about what Meredith, Big Mare, and Big Lisa did on the flight, of course, there's no evidence. Even though Heather said on Watch What Happens Live, she said that she's got it. But what exactly? As far as with Lisa, I think that was just solely for Lisa. Nobody had it. However, this past Sunday, Monday, there's footage of Portia Williams, Perfect Portia, being escorted up the plane because she had to be in compliance to something that happened on the plane. TMZ caught that. Interesting. And then also there's chatter that something happened with Miami between the GOAT Julia Dearest and Lisa. That was at the airport, and somebody broke news about that. However, there wasn't any type of footage, at least as of yet. But a source said that this was going on in the airport, and GOAT Girl was getting crazy. It's interesting that a certain race doesn't get recorded. But we like that. We like when Karens go crazy, don't we? So I don't understand why there isn't footage, in my opinion. But anyway, yeah, so we're kind of done with that scene, I think. Yeah. What was the next one? Lisa and John. I think we had two great conversations on this week's episodes as far as people with their marriages. I don't know how far Todd and Brahman was getting, but however, John and Lisa, they sit down and they talk, and they finally have a talk that has been needed for a long time. I think that John had his opportunity to finally speak up, and he didn't allow his wife to talk over him. I don't have to go into the specifics. I think that there was a lot of things that they have had pent up and not really speaking to one another. He said, we kind of operate like business associates instead of husband and wife. And it's been like that forever. That's what John was saying. And it's a lot more about how Lisa's feeling, and she was steadily saying, well, I don't feel acknowledged here. I don't think that there's anything wrong with anyone saying, I'm not feeling acknowledged here. I think that you got to also listen to your partner, your husband, your significant other, and say, hey, let me hear what you got to say and how you feel. And a lot of times he did say that he doesn't feel like his opinion matters about anything. You try to shut me out. So I don't know if things are getting on a better place, but at least they had a hard conversation, because they never talk about their marriage in the 6 years on this show. So I think it's kudos. Whatever the producer did to even push that conversation, I think is very cool. Let me say this. I got to go back, since now it's back in my mind. Mother Superior Heather. She was the one, because Brown brought it up when she talked to Meredith about how, Meredith said that none of that stuff happened. She said that she had on headphones. She was talking about Brittany, but Brittany had on headphones, and I don't understand why she was overhearing my conversation. Meredith. Why you gotta say that? She was eavesdropping in my conversation. Meredith. At BravoCon, these jokers did not say that Meredith was screaming. On the show that they were saying that. I think Meredith said that, it wasn't all that loud, like it's being portrayed. No, it wasn't like that. But she still says that Meredith needs to be held accountable. Now, since Mother Superior, I'm sorry I had to really jump back to this. Mother Superior Heather Gay, why did you only have a solo conversation with Lisa? How come you didn't go to Meredith? You and her are friends. As of yet, you have not pulled out your ruler on her. What is up with that? I don't understand that. You get to go unleash on Lisa because you've been around Lisa long enough and you studied how you would be able to wrestle with her, and you can't do it with Big Mare? But anyways, y'all was back to kissing and hugging each other and loving, you and Lisa at BravoCon. So this storyline to me feels like bull. But y'all can believe what y'all want to believe. Next, we got to get back to Brittany. She goes on a date in the woods, or a checkup with the woods. She says that she's on a break with Jared, but he's been around since I talked to him about the plane situation. Oh, really? Not according to this scene. They get together and they start talking about this whole trip. And Jared talks about, well, I was hearing that you were flirting with Captain Jason. Justin told me that. That's Whitney's husband. Interesting. It's interesting. So Whitney was running her mouth about everything that went on the trip. And the most highlighted thing that Justin, or at least Jared, has taken away from whatever Justin was telling him is how Brittany was towards the men, specifically Captain Jason. He never brought up the situation between her and Meredith. He didn't offer his anything. And they're sitting here like, why can't we get it together? Like, you're sitting here talking about me and Captain Jason when I just had the most traumatic thing happen to me on this flight? Brittany, you want to talk about trauma. How much trauma have your children had because of you? Let's talk about the real things with real receipts, madam. I don't have any sympathy for you. I don't think it was right for them to throw your unicorn over the boat, no, because it really looked mean. I don't know what happened on that plane. I believe it's been exaggerated. Do I think something happened? Yeah. Not to what you're trying to say happened. Yeah. He says, well, why we really can't get it together, Jared, is because you're really unstable. And you still want to be with this man. In 30 days or less, you're going to be calling for his pain. That's how low value you like to really treat yourself. So they're having this fight. I feel like it was just a stunt. Just two stunt queens. And we're done with scenes with them. Next, Mary. She goes to her church. making sure everything is prepared because they are opening their doors after renovations and other stuff that was going on back then. And she wanted to still make sure everything is cool. She has a conversation with one of her cousins again. They talk about, no, Robert, never mind. Wait, I'm mixing it up, I think. Anyway, Robert Jr. was there. He went down to Malibu, it looks like for some type of AA type of situation. And they were talking about a higher power. He says he knows his higher power, which is God. Everyone, it's a long conversation. But anyway, she was like, Mary was asking him, like, did you tell him to pray or anything like that? He said that I didn't really want to push them, So you could say it. It's nothing that you are pushing or whatever, blah, 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 blah. At that point, he was having a good time. Later on, when the actual Sunday service happened. We'll get there in just a second. Bronwyn and Todd, they finally have their conversation. Todd wasn't the same Todd that we're normally seeing show up on our screens. Would you guys admit it? Or think that, I don't want to say admit it, but would y'all think that is what he was? It looks like he was in the place of, I guess I really messed up. This was caught out there and I just can't make it go away. Bronwyn was saying that she felt like in this whole situation that, am I enough after this whole situation of him wanting to look at other girls? I kind of feel away. Now, of course, I like Bronwyn. And maybe this has to do with some of her self-esteem. And I can see it also as a woman who just wants to be valued by her husband. That's on the table too. But it just feels like, in some type of way, Bronwyn wants to be that victim type. Not saying that what Todd was wrong, but it's just like there's some type of this trait that she wants to carry on. You're not good enough. I mean, I guess it's hard because of how I feel like their marriage is unconventional. Like, most would say that this is kind of a trophy wife type of situation that you and Todd got going on. Trophy wife / sugar daddy type of situation. I mean, you keep coming to us like it's a real marriage. And I mean, you did say, he's older, on last week with Whitney. It just felt like, well, Brown, you are the prize. You are the trophy if that's a part of your marriage. I'm just saying what it seems like. I don't know what really is the setup. It's just like you're just saying that your relationship was so organic and it's just so, we're soulmates. If y'all get what I mean? Like, okay. Like, someone would say online, well, it doesn't look like Brown was moving like there isn't a prenup. But to get divorced because someone was looking at photos and you think you're going to get all this money? Like, what? But they have been together for 11 years. That's what Todd did say and all that. But he said that you're enough. And basically, he don't want to change anything about the relationship. So it doesn't, I don't know if there was further talks later, but he's satisfied. I mean, did y'all hear anything else? Like, it doesn't look like the open door policy has been, and it has been ignited. But I think that Lisa and John's conversation was a little bit more productive. However, still could have been productive on Todd and Bronwyn's side. But I think Bronwyn really wants to get into that open situation because you are older, Todd. However, you are looking at other women for whatever reason. And let me put back on the table about, of course, as a woman, as a wife, you want your spouse to be desiring you and not having to look at others. I know that some people have a problem, and I'm gonna say this, but I think a judge would be like, okay, so he was looking at adult videos or adult something. Even though he wasn't doing that. It wasn't adult stuff. He was just looking at other women through his phone. And I guess it was closed. We didn't hear that they were unclothed. But, so, and again, I acknowledge that women just want that. It's just hard for me to fall into the line. Y'all got this traditional type of marriage. And y'all just so in love and you just want his acceptance. That's my thing. Moving on from them. It's Sunday worship time. Everybody coming. They didn't know, well, only bad weather. Didn't think that Lisa and Meredith were coming. And of course, Whitney thought she was so funny by saying that they're going to be two, can I say that on YouTube? I'm going to say it. Two whores are going to be coming in I think sweating at the church. She at least said it later. As some type of funny shade. I wasn't laughing because I could be looking at you, Whitney, and I could say some stuff about you. But we won't go there. Most of the ladies show up, and then it's Meredith and Lisa. They're showing up. Brittany was not there. But beforehand, Mary had a conversation with the cousin, I think. Robert Jr.'s not coming. When she was ready to come to church, she saw that he was high and said, no, it's another setback, you can't come. It's an uphill battle right now for Robert Jr. Maybe you don't know, but there have been some reports. It still hasn't really made any type of national headlines, but I don't know how true it is, but people are saying that Robert Jr. has been arrested again for violating probation and doing all this other stuff, and he's racked on another charge. And now people are saying that Mary's trying to cover up for Robert Jr. because she didn't say anything at BravoCon. Well, nobody brought it up at BravoCon. I guess she was asked, how is he doing? And she said, fine. I said, well, maybe she don't know anything because she's out of town. No, she knows. That's good. When I was just throwing out there, maybe she don't. Maybe she don't want to know anything that's going on outside of what's going on to her job that she has to do during BravoCon. So I think that Mary would be truthful. Why would she hide stuff now? If she was just on camera talking about he was high, he couldn't come to church, why would she run and hide now? Some of y'all sound so ridiculous and stupid. So people are congregating outside. Angie is becoming very familiar with a lot of Mary's family that she actually talks to. That's new. I'll leave that alone. Because y'all probably saw that there's a documentary coming out. Yeah, so. So Mary still has family members on her side, despite probably what this documentary. Not interested, whatever. Me, personally. But yeah, they go inside. They have church, all that, of course. Heather's never been to a black church and don't know how to act, so of course she got to do what's best for her in a black church. For me, I've been to other type of churches, and I've actually have come together with white folks. I've come together with Spanish folks, especially down here in Florida. I'm gonna tell you this much: I think the Spanish folk can give a run for the money at how jubilant black folks are in a church setting. I'm telling you, from what I see, I said, oh, I need to put some pep in my step at how the joy of the Lord is truly their strength. It's been 2 years since the church has been open, as I stated before. Mary gets up and she gives her sermon, or it didn't even seem like a sermon. It seemed like we're back and let's congregate, let's stay focused, and it's a lot more full than we saw about 2 years ago, if y'all noticed. So, anyways, she talks about her mom. And this is another thing, because there's something that they keep mentioning that whomever are her ex-congregants, saying that she said that she's God. If you heard how Mary was talking during her time of exhortation or her sermon, she ain't gonna talk about the Lord God over here and then still try to present herself as God. There's just some simple intelligence that goes along with this. Like whatever. Anyways, it's quite inspiring. Mary had some words of encouragement for each of the ladies. She even, did I say Meredith? Mary did. She even called Meredith Mary. So they still have a great connection. Lisa started crying. Meredith started crying. I don't know if others, maybe Angie did too. But it looks like they got what they needed. And then there was this group circle prayer amongst the ladies of this cast. And it was good. That was a good ending. I'm glad that they ended that way. But y'all let me know how y'all thought about this episode. You know, I'm sure I'm going to get some kicking and screaming, but I just don't believe everything that happened on the plane happened on the plane. Next week, Meredith's supposed to have a one-on-one conversation with Brittany. And we're going to see what happens there. But it looks like everybody else is speaking up for Brittany besides Brittany. If you noticed during her party, she was just, when Bronwyn was saying what Meredith said to her, Y'all can believe it, but I wasn't born at night. Well, actually, I was born at night, but I got a daytime mind, if that's a thing. Anyways, thank you for stopping by. I appreciate you all. I appreciate all the love and support. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Like this video, subscribe, share, and leave your comments below. And until the next one, peace.